Many people consider the renowned Shirley Temple to be beautiful, to have had a good career, and to have enjoyed enviable recognition. But a dark side of her life is revealed by her daughter. Although audiences and producers praised Shirley when she was younger, the recognition came at a high price and put a great deal of strain on her. Despite being widely appreciated, her reputation ironically prevented her from having a typical upbringing, leaving a troublesome legacy that persisted until her death. This video is a must-watch for everyone who is curious about the intricacies of Shirley Temple's life. Let's start Shirley Temple's rise to fame, which started on April 23, 1928, the day she was born to Gertrude and George Temple in Santa Monica, California. Shirley's destiny appeared to be entwined with the world of fame, even before her birth, as she was the third child in a family consisting of two older brothers, John and George Jr. Her mother, Gertrude, had a hope that Shirley would become a movie star. This vision prompted Gertrude to enroll Shirley at the prestigious Meglin's Dance School in Los Angeles, which had trained such luminaries as Judy Garland and her sisters. The institution had a reputation for providing opportunities for stage work, modeling employment, and future careers in the entertainment sector. The early indications of Shirley Temple's extraordinary abilities are shown by author David Casson, who examines the cultural background of Shirley Temple's achievement. Casson said that Shirley's natural skills seemed to match Gertrude's hopes for her daughter. Historian of popular culture Jeffrey Mark goes one step further and declares Shirley Temple to be a genius, highlighting her exceptional star quality and innate skill. According to Mark, these are inborn traits of people like Shirley who have that special something that cannot be taught. Casson illuminates the less glamorous aspect of Shirley's celebrity by highlighting the fact that, although movies were portrayed as nothing more than stage acting for the young star, Shirley was actually a diligent worker from the time she was a small child. Shirley's book emphasizes that she worked every day of her youth. It is appropriate to refer to her as a child laborer, given her unwavering work ethic, even though she is among the highest-paid child actors in the world. If you are enjoying this video, please hit the subscribe button by showing your support. Thank you. This viewpoint is important because it differs from the public narrative that has been promoted by her parents, 20th Century Fox, and even well-known people like Eleanor Roosevelt, although they played down the seriousness of Shirley's workload, pointing out that she was just doing what came easily to her. The truth was that Shirley had been carrying a heavy responsibility from an early age. When Shirley Temple was 3 years old, Charles Lamont, a casting director for educational pictures, noticed her career path in entertainment took a dramatic shift. Sensing she had talent from the start, Lamont signed her to a contract in 1932. For Shirley, this was the start of her career. Shirley Temple made her first appearance in the film industry, a vocation that would soon enthrall viewers and establish her as a child prodigy. A portion of this activity consisted of 10-minute educational pictures pieces called baby burlesques. The purpose of these shorts was to mock current affairs and motion pictures. Shirley was quite talented even at such a young age, and others saw her potential right away. Jeffrey Mark, a pop culture historian, emphasizes not only her innate dancing ability, but also the technical components of filmmaking she had to learn, such as lip-syncing and singing classes. Shirley showed a remarkable capacity to assimilate and adjust to the demands of the profession even as a young child. Mark highlights Shirley's transition from starring in big-budget films to making brief appearances in short subjects while still in diapers. Notably, her partnership with Bill Robinson, popularly known as Bojangles, was a revolutionary time in culture. Their on-screen relationship, especially their exuberant tap dancing routines, conveyed a powerful message during a time when racial dynamics were complicated. Mark emphasizes how significant it is to have a young white girl and an African-American man dance together on screen, a remarkable cultural statement that Shirley and Robinson made with ease. Shirley Temple's breakthrough occurred in April 1934, the month she turned 6, right in the middle of the worst of the Great Depression, as noted by historian David Casson. As social upheaval and economic hardships plagued the country, Shirley's movies offered a much-needed diversion, while Hollywood dealt with criticism and ethical dilemmas of its own. Shirley became a beacon of hope during this turbulent time. Shirley had only sixth billing in the same year's movie Stand Up and Cheer, but her radiant smile and calm assurance won over the audience. Her rise to become one of the most adored and iconic characters of her era began with this movie, which was the one that really catapulted her to fame. It may seem hyperbolic to draw a comparison between President Franklin Delano Roosevelt's policies during the Great Depression and Shirley Temple's smiles and performances, yet the comparison captures a significant cultural phenomena. According to historian David Casson, President Franklin recognized the economic and emotional aspects of the Great Depression in his first inauguration speech. He famously said, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself," realizing the need of restoring the nation's confidence and morale. Unlike his predecessor, Herbert Hoover, Shirley Temple purposefully matched President Franklin's message of optimism with her breakthrough film, Stand Up and Cheer, which was released in 1934. The movie showed how, in the middle of the anxiety and despair of the Great Depression, entertainment could be a vital factor in uplifting the atmosphere of the country and bringing respite and happiness. Shirley's beautiful smile swiftly came to represent this optimism and became as legendary as President Franklin's own endearing smile. President Franklin and Shirley Temple met at the White House in 1938. Shirley's on-screen character had even more effect when President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, anticipating her signature smile, asked her wryly why she wasn't grinning. Shirley responded by explaining that she had recently lost a tooth, which was why her lips were glued together. This story demonstrates the real link that exists between Shirley's character on television and the general public awareness. Even the president had come to recognize and anticipate her smile as a sign of optimism and enthusiasm. Casson goes into greater detail about Shirley Temple's career, pointing out that during the 1930s she produced over 20 feature films, all of which were essential to the audience's emotional recovery. In the midst of the pervasive despair, her characters frequently restored father and grandfather figures to their finest selves, softening their hearts. The motto of Shirley's movies was to keep on the sunny side of life. Furthermore, a fundamental question in her works was fueled by the recurrent theme of her protagonists losing one or both of their parents. Who would adopt her? Who is going to look after her? Through this storytelling technique, viewers were given a heartfelt invitation to adopt Shirley as their own, creating a close bond between them and the little star. The pinnacle of Shirley Temple's quick ascent to fame was achieved when, from 1935 to 1938, she topped the global box office for 4 years running. She became the face of multiple endorsements in addition to being a movie sensation, changing children's fashion and popularizing a certain toddler style for girls up to the age of 12. After being introduced in October 1934 by the Ideal Novelty and Toy Company, Shirley Temple dolls became an enormous hit, making up almost 1/3 of all doll sales in the nation. Her impact was seen in a wide range of products, including dress shoes, games, puzzles, breakfast cereals, toy sets, big cabinet-sized radios, and even pricey cars. Shirley Temple established herself as the prototypical child consumer, generating a compelling allure that appealed to both kids and grown-ups. But as Jeffrey Mark pointed out, Shirley faced a major obstacle as she grew older. Efforts to preserve her youthful appearance, such as the recognizable curls, were unable to hide growing up. Due to legal disputes between 20th Century Fox and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the project never came to be. Dorothy Gale's possible involvement in The Wizard of Oz could have signaled the start of puberty. Judy Garland took advantage of the chance and went on to become the new child star phenomenon. Shirley Temple's films were seen as antiquated as the cinema industry changed with the rise of performers like Judy Garland, Mickey Rooney, and others, and as the Globe entered Globe War coup. She was not as talented as Garland or Rooney, while having acting talent of her own. 20th Century Fox's head, Daryl Zanuck, had a problem. Following the tried-and-true Shirley Temple model ran the risk of becoming old, but straying from it may alienate the audience. Shirley's mother, Gertrude Temple, claimed that Zanuck was incompetent as an artist and expressed her displeasure with his methods. Shirley Temple's responsibilities changed as she grew older, and she was no longer the main attraction. Even though she developed into a charming young lady with dramatic and humorous skills, she frequently had supporting parts as a younger sister or the daughter of famous people. From the classic Shirley Temple movies to the group productions of the 1940s, this change signaled a major departure. Shirley's movies adopted a distinct theme. According to David Casson, some people find them boring, and certain parts are even embarrassing. The movies presented themes of male flirtation in childhood, emotional recovery for mature male characters, and tackling more significant political topics. According to Casson, the portrayal of illicit connections with adult men became increasingly overt, which unnerved the public, particularly in the 1940s. The psychological effects of Shirley Temple's famed cinematic career had an impact on the complicated family relationship that developed behind the scenes. Historian David Casson explores the complex dynamics that existed inside the Temple family in the 1930s, highlighting the fact that comprehending Shirley necessitates seeing her as a member of a group. Shirley, her mother Gertrude, and her father George were the three main players on this team. In addition to being Shirley's instructor and hairdresser, Gertrude Temple also acted as her agent and, in an unofficial capacity, manager. Their emotional link was strong, and according to Casson, it included aspects of a narcissistic bond. Shirley Temple's success entwined itself with Gertrude's own sense of achievement, acting as a conduit for her own unrealized hopes. Shirley's own admission that she was her mother's pet project shows how close they were and how well they worked together to navigate the entertainment business. George Temple, on the other hand, changed from being a banker to a brand manager by taking use of his daughter's success. In addition to being a parent, he served as a bank spokesman, encouraging people to open accounts on the grounds that he was Shirley Temple's father. It even had a sign at the bank that said, "Meet Shirley Temple's father." But in spite of his success on the outside, George struggled inside. The emotional strain of his daughter's celebrity ultimately got to him, and he decided to resign from his position, thus ending his career. In 1945, Shirley Temple went through personal changes in addition to navigating the challenges of celebrity. After her marriage to actor John Agar in movies, the couple had a daughter named Linda Susan, but they had a very unhappy marriage which finally resulted in their divorce in 1949. After Shirley was granted custody of Linda, a turbulent period in her personal life came to an end. Historian David Casson examines the difficulties experienced by child stars by referencing the observations of Diana Sarah Carey, popularly known as Baby Peggy, a significant silent-era star. The contradictory roles that these young performers play as both child laborers and family providers were highlighted by Baby Peggy in her sympathetic writing about the emotional struggles faced by child stars and their families. Shirley Temple, in particular, carried this weight in many ways. Her capacity to inspire crowds and maintain her family's financial security as the young child with the greatest touch developed into a potent yet unstable force within the family dynamic. Shirley's career followed the path of many former child stars as she entered the late 1940s, dealing with the setbacks of a failed first marriage and a drop in movie prospects. Abuse plagued Shirley's marriage to John Agar, who took advantage of Shirley's notoriety to commit damaging acts such as drinking, womanizing, and physical assaults. The turbulent time in her personal life coincided with her movie's waning box office appeal. But in January 1950, Shirley Temple met Charles Alden Black, and a new chapter began. Notably, Black, a Silver Star recipient and World War II Navy intelligence officer, offered a sharp contrast to her prior experiences. She was intrigued to learn that he had never seen a picture starring Shirley Temple. Beyond this, she was drawn to him because he was tall, attractive, and a decorated warrior. In December 1950, Shirley and Charles Black tied the knot. A major turning point in Shirley's life was the union. Charles was instrumental in assisting her in taking back control, beginning with a practical step. He looked into the amount of money she had amassed from her box office hits. Charles was, crucially, well off, debunking any ideas of opportunism. For Shirley Temple, this marriage signaled a time of empowerment and stability that prepared her for a new chapter in both her personal and professional lives. Shirley Temple's career in show business took a noticeable break following her marriage. On the other hand, she saw a resurgence in the television industry, which opened a new chapter in her career. She was given the chance to host a children's program called Shirley Temple's Storybook, which was recorded in color on videotape by NBC. Shirley served as the program's host and narrator, telling children's stories and occasionally acting out parts of them. With a variety of gifted people participating in well-executed events, the production stood out for its high caliber. In spite of the show's success, Shirley's on-screen persona revealed a certain dichotomy. Regarding this stage of Shirley's career, pop culture historian Jeffrey Mark observes that even as an adult, Shirley was unable to fully let go of the childlike character she played in her previous movies. Despite being professionally done, her show opening and closing shots showed a mature woman with a childlike purity as she gazed into the camera. This was in contrast to the path taken by other child stars, such as Judy Garland, who grew into mature roles with success. Behind the scenes, though, Shirley was having financial difficulties. Her father, George Temple, had been in charge of looking after her investments, but things didn't work out. According to David Casson, Shirley's husband Charles Black was instrumental in introducing financial transparency into her life. Shirley found out at the age of 22 that she really had about 3 cents for every dollar she had made. She didn't disclose this information until after her father passed away in her memoirs. A combination of poor investment decisions and the exorbitant expense of upholding the lifestyle anticipated of child star parents led to financial difficulties. Shirley's father George disregarded the so-called Jackie Coogan Act, which was intended to preserve child actors' profits by requiring them to place a portion of their earnings into a trust. George's financial difficulties caused confusion, as Shirley's earnings were not aligned with the family's total income. Shirley Temple's career path went well beyond the entertainment industry when she assumed a multifarious position that included parenting her kids and participating in charitable endeavors. She became involved in Republican circles in the 1960s and became very interested in diplomacy, which led her to carve out a career for herself in public affairs. Shirley surpassed expectations with her brilliance and her persistent efforts to educate herself, even if David Casson describes her schooling as inadequate, given that she attended the Westfield School for Girls and did not pursue higher study. Casson highlights that she was less proud of her early career as a child star and more proud of her subsequent life as a diplomat. Casson claimed that Shirley enjoyed bragging about having worked in public relations for twice as long as she had been an actor. Serving as a studio diplomat at 20th Century Fox was the beginning of Shirley's diplomatic career. Similar to the attention that stars like Elvis Presley and Eleanor Roosevelt received, she was a sought-after figure for dignitaries and famous persons visiting the United States because of her prominence as a former child star. It is a testament to Shirley Temple's lasting influence that other dignitaries requested meetings with her. Shirley Temple ran unsuccessfully for Congress in 1967, but Henry Kissinger took notice of her efforts. Later, from September to December 1969, she served as a delegate to the 24th United Nations General Assembly, an appointment that was made by President Richard Nixon. Later, from 1974 to 1975, President Gerald R. Ford named her as the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana. In 1976 and 1977, she oversaw the preparations for President Jimmy Carter's inauguration and inaugural ball, making history as the country's first female chief of protocol. President H.W. Bush named her the U.S. Ambassador to Czechoslovakia from 1989 until 1992, demonstrating her diplomatic ability. In his reflection on Shirley Temple's move into public service, Jeffrey Mark points out that a generation had grown up appreciating and believing in her films. She may not have been able to transmit her on-screen charms as well, but she did learn how to be a pleasant person, which helped her greatly when working for the government. Mark argues that Shirley achieved just as much success in her diplomatic capacity as she did in her well-known films. In 1972, in the midst of her diplomatic duties, Shirley experienced a health crisis. She was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 44. Shirley made the decision to use her platform to spread awareness of the condition by going public about her experience having a mastectomy. Jeffrey Mark commends Shirley for being transparent during this difficult period, noting that her choice to disclose her cancer struggle served as a potent example of resiliency and motivation for other women going through comparable experiences. In her private life, Shirley Temple dedicated herself wholeheartedly to her union with Charles Alden Black, a union that lasted until his death in 2005 as a result of consequences from a bone marrow illness. Their remarkable 54-year marriage was marked by camaraderie and support for one another. On February 10, 2014, Shirley herself passed away at the age of 85 due to complications brought on by her long-term chronic obstructive lung disease. After her death, a startling admission came to light. Despite her seemingly innocent persona on TV, Shirley had been a smoker her whole life, a habit she had successfully concealed from the public. David Casson considers the lasting influence Shirley Temple had on people's lives, even after her Hollywood peak. Fans' grieving statements after her passing mirrored their feelings of losing a dear friend. People who grew up watching Shirley as a child star felt a strong sense of connection to her. Over time, this bond persisted, with others born after her time still striving to imitate her charisma and charm. Casson emphasizes Oprah Winfrey as an example, highlighting how she was born after Shirley's period but expressing a wish to be like her, highlighting how Shirley's attraction transcended both racial and class divides. Casson highlights how unusual it is for someone like Shirley Temple to arise in the modern day. He points out that we live in a time of celebrity saturation, with many people vying for attention in a wide range of market areas. During the golden age of the Hollywood studio system, Shirley Temple rose to popularity and demonstrated her ability to draw in a wide family audience. Casson emphasizes that it is difficult for any celebrity to attain the broad appeal that Shirley had because of the multiplexes and divided audiences of the present world.